Carl Sagan could not have predicted 2021, but he did see it coming. He wrote the following back in 1995, and we quote, "I have a foreboding of an America in my children's or grandchildren's time when the United States is a service and information economy, when nearly all the manufacturing industries have slipped away to other countries, when awesome technological powers are in the hands of a very few, and no one representing the public interest can even grasp the issues, when the people have lost the ability to set their own agendas or knowledgeably question those in authority, when, clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good and what's true, we slide almost without noticing back into superstition and darkness. The dumbing down of America is most evident in the slow decay of substantive content in the enormously influential media, the 30-second sound bites now down to 10 seconds or less, lowest common denominator programming, credulous presentations on pseudoscience and superstition, but especially a kind of celebration of ignorance." Roll that around for a while. Those were among his final published words. He died 10 months later. Here we are 25 years later, realizing just what he was trying to tell us back then.
We're very powerful. This country is very powerful. It's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close.
War.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Even as these grainy satellite images released today by the Chinese government.
Why shoot it down, though, if it's not hostile?
Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Why the Americans would?
They leave distance annihilated.
This country is very powerful. Far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world. Not even close.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Going down. Ready?
I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Oppenheimer chat. We've been so far over the target for so long, guys. Welcome to the live stream. Got a great show tonight. We just had some breaking news happen just a couple hours before the live stream. So we are pushing felony physics back, although I'll just go ahead and spoil it. The secret to felony physics is there is an extra dimension and there is a 0-point energy that can be tapped into. This is how we can get around the laws of thermodynamics. This is how we can teleport an object from one location to the next. So there you go. That's the spoiler. But we are going to dig into that on Monday. We'll go through Maxwell's equations, literally re-establish Maxwell's equations from first principles using Ferris-Williams 5D dynamic theory. Ooh, try saying that 5 times fast. Guys, breaking news. We need to address this footage that was just put out by none other than the Jeremy Corbell. Ooh, I hear the boos. Boo, boos in the chat. It's okay, guys. Don't hate on him. It's okay. Jeremy Corbell, infamous for telling Joe Rogan that the MH370 videos were bullshit. That they were bullshit. All of a sudden today, puts out this footage that we are going to be extensively reviewing. If you are here tonight, you are getting the top quality S-tier premium package when it comes to UFO analysis. And I will remind everyone right now, in case you forgot, anybody that calls it UAP is woke disclosure. You will get a one-time pass to change your ways and see the light and come back to the ways of UFO. This is just a way where they use what we call neuro-linguistic programming to confuse us. Much like the topic of today's stream, which is nuclear electric propulsion. Some buzzwords that nobody understands, which actually mean aneutronic fusion propulsion. Before we get to that, let's take a look at the footage. Here is the footage. The information that comes with this footage is that it was recorded August 23rd, 2012. Looks like 1821. We don't know exactly what time zone that's in. It's from an MQ-9 Reaper drone. MQ-9 Reaper drone. We can see there's markings all over this footage right away. And, well, of course, we can see that there are 3 luminous objects in a equilateral triangle formation moving around throughout the footage. Holy crap. Yeah, exactly. Like, first things first. Well, how? Well, you look at that. Well, how about that? Oh, what you have here, is that 3 orbs you got moving around in a triangle formation? Well, look at that from an MQ-9 Reaper drone, you say. Huh? Wonder if I ever seen any of that before. I'm just a down-home country folk. I don't know about these complicated orbs configurations and Reaper drones. Huh. Wait, look at that. Looks pretty familiar. Huh. I wonder if there's any other footage like this that might be around that maybe even post-dates this. Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay. Where do we start with this, chat? Where do we even start with this? Okay, I think the first place I want to start is, where the fuck did you get this footage? Where did this come from? We really need to ask the basic questions here. Where did you get this footage? Where did it come from? How long have you been sitting on this footage? Because it says it comes from 2012, so that was like 14 years ago. How long have you been sitting on it, and why did you wait to release this? If somebody sent me some shit like this, first thing I would do is put it on social media. I'd be like, I don't know, man. It's some crazy shit. Here you go. I don't know what this is. Looks like a drone or something. But no. So how are we going to get the answers to that? Okay. First things first, let's go to the source. Apparently, Jeremy Corbell explained this on his podcast today. I'll be honest with you guys, it's not a slight or anything like that. I've literally never watched Weaponized podcast before. Not one time ever. I've seen the clips from here and there, but I've never watched an episode before. This is the most boring thing in the world to me because I learn absolutely nothing from this. But if you enjoy it, that's fine. Okay, here we go.
You and I obtain
It's louder
all the time footage that it takes us time to vet. What we can vet is that it's real military footage, that it was actually labeled UAP by our own intelligence agencies, that you were never supposed to see it, the public, and that they have classified it UAP. And it's an example. It's like a data set, an extra little piece. No one video is ever going to do anything. I learned that a long time ago. But adding to the data set is something I love to do. And there's one video that you and I have obtained, and we've agreed, okay, it's worthy of public discourse. And it shows what appear to be in thermal orbs, which is the most obvious or common, UAP that's out there. But it's very interesting to me because of the triangular formation that these orbs move in, and then how you can tell it's not one triangular unit. The lead one kind of jumps back and forward again, or that's what it looks like to me with an untrained eye. Now, we've had some people look at it, and everybody agrees it's worthy to put out. So this is military footage you weren't supposed to see, that we obtained, and legally as journalists, once we obtain it, it's going out. And so if you're cool with it, I think we should show people. I know we recorded somewhere else, and then we talked about it. I think we should show people that footage today so they can just get out their dissecting tools and help us understand what our government thinks are UAP. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, to quote a line from The Right Stuff, let's light this.
Bro. What? Okay, I don't want to just crash out. I actually want to analyze this and not just be in full reaction mode, but it's just really hard. It's really hard because I think if you've been watching my content, we're not on an encroachment into the territory anymore. Now we're straight up, they're grabbing the narrative and they're running away with it. They're like, you know what? We're not going to beat this Ashton guy. There's no way. We're just going to pretend like he doesn't exist. Everyone pretend like he doesn't exist. He's like, pretend like he's a ghost, right? And just ignore everything he says, even though he's literally explaining everything we're doing. Even though he's literally exposing our little operation in real time, just pretend like he's not there. It's like, maybe he'll go away. What the hell is going on here? All of a sudden, Jeremy Corbell is super interested in orbs of triangle formations, but he doesn't want to talk about those MH370 videos, though, where you can see how this all works. You can see how, like he just says, they're not one unit. They're individual orbs that have connected together. So, first, answer you guys' question. It's not aliens. I mean, maybe it's controlled by aliens, but you're not looking at aliens. The debunkers are going to come out and say that, oh, it's real blurry. No, you're looking at plasma. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at plasma in that video. We're going to come back to what you're looking at in a second. He says it takes time. It takes time to vet this stuff. What the hell? It's almost like he's making an excuse. Because the first question anybody should have is, why did you not release this immediately? I can look at that footage one time and I can tell it's real. Maybe doctored, but probably not. Just because of all the movements, really unlikely to be doctored. I can tell it's real instantly. Nobody should be sitting on footage like that. That's probably the best UFO footage except for the MH370 videos that exist right now. Clip that. That's probably the best footage other than the MH370 videos. And the first thing Jeremy Corbell is doing is giving excuses for why he didn't reveal it sooner. Well, we had to vet it. Vet it with who? Who the fuck are you vetting a video of some orbs on an MQ-9 Reaper? There's only one person. It can be the daddy government or one of their representatives. That would be the only person you could be vetting it with, which tells me this is a controlled disclosure. You are the representative of the government that is giving us footage for literally no reason. Because there's no reason that this should be given to Jeremy Corbell. They also don't have to work with him to vet it either. If this was not a controlled release of disclosure, the government would do to Jeremy Corbell with this footage what they've done with me, which is ignore me, not return my calls, not return my inquiries, not return my emails. That's what they do. They just literally do not respond. Even when you literally talk to them on the phone, they'll say, we'll give you an email back. They just don't. So how is he even able to get footage like this, which is clearly classified military surveillance capabilities? How is he able to get this vetted and released? And then you got to go, okay, I don't want to be that guy, but is this being influenced because of the MH370 videos? Because it looks exactly the same. The orbs moving around are exactly the same. And not just that, the clouds in the background also have that similar, like, kind of ghosty look just like they have in the FLIR footage in the MH370 videos. You're like, wait, that FLIR cloud there looks a lot like the FLIR clouds in the MH370. Not the same kind, but, you know, same gradient in the color. So, wow. I'm looking at that and I'm having a lot of questions. And now here's the other thing I want to bring up. If Jeremy Corbell has more footage like this, he needs to release it right now. Sitting on this, dragging this out, he's pulling a Candace Owens right now. I feel like I'm Nick Fuentes. Jeremy Corbell is pulling a Candace Owens, dragging out the evidence, and his excuse is he's getting it vetted by the government. Fuck that, dude. Show us what you have, man. Show us your full archives, bro. The fact that you're holding anything back should be extremely suspicious to everybody. What are we talking about here? Because I can tell looking at that in 5 seconds it's real. And I get really suspicious because you told Joe Rogan says on the podcast that you told him the MH370 videos are fake. Those videos are 1,000 times more credible than even what you just released today. 1,000 times. We have 2 videos. Perfect sync. So what the fuck, dude? It feels like to me, I'm getting in my feels, chat, that they know the MH370 videos are real. They know they're real, and that's why they never interact with me. That's why they never talk to me. That's why they never say anything. That's why they'll never address the videos. And instead, they're releasing other stuff that's like the same thing, and they're trying to get clicks off of it. Feels like they're trying to cheapen the situation, drag it out forever, and they're also doing the Candace Owens thing where they're not saying they're making any arguments. It's like if I were to say, hey, Jeremy, you're trying to convince people that the aliens are coming to invade. He'd be like, I've never said that. I'd be like, but you're like heavily implying that this stuff is non-human. That it would imply that it's alien. He's like, I never said it's alien. I never said it's aliens. That's been like Candace Owens going, I never said that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. It's like, but you talk about it in relation to it the whole all time, every day. You imply it all the time. It's like, that's clearly what you're implying. If we can't just agree on what you're implying, then we can't even do this. And that's what they're trying to do here is they're trying to like imply that this can't be human made so that everybody associates plasma orbs with aliens or something. Now, I'm not done ripping into this guy yet. We haven't even gotten to the analysis of the video yet. That's how triggered I am by this. And that's just from my first look at this thing. He straight up says in this video that he talked to people. They know how this was labeled. Bro, what? You are talking to people that you know where this video is being stored, how it was being labeled. Clearly, the people vetting your thing are in the government. Are they just handing you these videos? I seriously doubt somebody anonymously emailed you this video. Because I'm pretty sure they would get caught and go to prison. And then when you're able to figure out where it was stored and where it was saved, I mean, you kind of narrow down the possibilities. Now, here's my question. Where the fuck was it stored and where was it saved? Number one, tell us right now. How are you not telling us this information? How are you holding this information back? I don't care if you think you're protecting the government. You know where they're saving videos like this? This is almost on the quality of MH370, except for it's not a covert operation. Where are they saving this stuff? This is really pertinent information for us to try to reveal this whole situation. It's at this point to me 100% obvious Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are 1,000% on the side of the government, and they are gatekeeping the UFO phenomenon. And if they disagree, I challenge them to release the videos that they have. No vetting for national security or whatever the bullshit excuse you're making up. Release the videos to the public immediately. Stop monetizing this. Stop profiting. Stop dripping this out. Tell people your sources. Tell people where they're saving this information. It is immoral to not be giving this information to the people. This is the reason why I have more followers than them. Probably also the reason why the CIA doesn't bring me in. But that's a different discussion for another time. This is the truth, though. That's what I do. So if it has to be to expose this, guys, it has to be to expose them. And they know it was classified, and they know that it was never meant to be seen. So what are we talking about here? How did you get this? You got some information, and it was never meant to be seen, but you vetted it with the government, and you're releasing it openly? The story does not add up. And this is the questions that people should first ask these guys. Don't even worry about the authenticity of the video yet. First of all, it's obviously real military footage. Obviously, just from looking at it at a glance, you can tell. But if you can't tell that because you don't look at a lot of military footage, great. Doesn't matter. First question before we even get to that is, where did you get this and how did you get this? Because this is pretty incredible. And wherever you're getting this, there's probably more. In fact, we know there's more. We've been saying, one of the things I said before is that if they have this footage of MH370, they've got a lot. They've probably got the videos on the other side. They've had to have a whole database of just like incredible videos that if you just released a few of them, it would just be game over. How many more videos like this do we need before it's kind of undeniable? Okay. Let's get into the video analysis now. Okay, here we go. So let's pull this bad boy up. Let's watch it again in its entirety here. See if we see anything else. We're probably going to find other things. Now, one thing I noticed, manual tracking. Manual tracking. Let me pause this. We've looked at surveillance footage long enough and researched it long enough that we can actually pick out some details here. This is one that most people are not going to pick out. You will probably only get on a stream like mine. Not only can we tell that it's manual tracking, that's already high IQ enough, but you can see it tries to lock in and it fails. Notice when it watches that the reticle goes over the orbs, and you'll see at one point the lock appear on the screen and it dissipates and goes away because it can't maintain the lock. So this is a big detail. We know why this is the case. Radar was not able, will bounce off of plasma, will scatter off of plasma. So you can't potentially lock in if an object is made out of plasma. Now, this is the big thing that I wanted to mention to you guys. I'm just going to say it so I don't forget. These are balls of plasma. The reason why it's just a bright dot is because you're looking at a ball of plasma. What do you think it's going to look like in a thermal camera? Especially in we're looking at a low quality video. My guess is in this video, I can't really tell. Maybe you guys will be able to tell. This might be a cell phone recording of a screen. I think this is a cell phone recording of a screen, or it's cropped. It's hard to tell. My guess would be it's a cell phone recording of a screen. That's why it's relatively low quality. We don't have super high quality. But it's a plasma ball. And if you are new, here's your felony physics of the night. Plasma produces its own electric and magnetic fields. Because of this fact, this means there are certain geometric shapes of plasma that will be stable. Just like if you were to make a vortex, like take a plate and push it through a pool or a lake or a pond, you would see your vortex just continue to go. You'd wonder, why does that just keep going like that? Because it's produced a stable geometry, as we call it. And if you produce this stable geometry, now your object is like a smoke ring that can just continue to flow for much longer stability and longevity than normal. Now, not only did they figure that property of plasma out, but they learned how to engineer it. So it's like finding out someone's DNA code. You're like, oh, now we know the secret sauce. Now we can engineer this mechanism. Now we can make fusion work. First thing you know is now you can make fusion work. Now we can turn this thing into an engine. Now we can turn this thing into a drone. And that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a nuclear electric propulsion drone. Technically true. Nuclear is fission or fusion. Electric, it's electrically powered, not powered by heat. Propulsion, it's flying around. And it's a drone. It's autonomous, UAV. There you go. Technically correct. Technically correct. We're going to get to that here in a minute, but let's watch this. So manually tracking, watch for the automated lock-in. You'll see it here, I think, in about 10 seconds. One thing I was looking for is to see, are we looking down or are we looking up? I think we are looking down. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're looking down at the objects below. You see the lock right there? I'm going to go back just a few seconds. Oh, maybe I missed it. Maybe it was like back here. I think it tries to lock right here, right? Nah, I don't know. I guess I missed it. Somewhere in there it tries to lock. There it was. So tried to lock there, missed. And so we see, I think that's the clouds in the background. And I still think we're looking down, though. I think this drone is pretty high up. And I think the camera we're looking at could be the camera under the nose of the drone. Now, this part right here, I wasn't sure if the orbs were like stuck in one. What you'd want to know, if you were trying to debunk this, you would want to know, are the orbs going to stay on the same plane? Like if it stays in the same plane and just moves around like this, it's pretty easy to fake. But if the orbs are moving around like three-dimensionally, like in the MH370 videos where we see them spinning around the plane, if they're moving around like that, that makes it much more difficult to fake. Now, I can just tell looking at these it's not fake, but for the people that are trying to debunk it, that would be something, a major detail that they should look into if they were going to try to figure out what's going on here. Also, this is clearly not, we can rule out a few things. It's not balloons for sure. It's not parallax. Now, they're going to probably try to say like, hey, but we don't know the perspective. Maybe it's just like the plane above is going like this. Which isn't going to make any sense. Because that object is clearly moving, but the drone is also moving at the same time. But it's pretty clear that the operator is manually moving the camera at the same time. These are also all very important details when it comes to analyzing footage like this, because a lot of these details are not going to be things that somebody would put in like some kind of hoax video. Not that anybody's really seen hoax videos of military footage though. So, one sec. What else should we look at here? Oh, so you can see that they don't maintain the same plane. They end up kind of shifting plane a little bit, and they may even move and reorient at one point. But I wanted to see, is there anything between them? One of the big things that people bring up is, oh, well, the TR-3B, the triangle craft. This is where I'm ready. Here, let's just play the rest of it, and then I'll make this statement. So you see it change right there, trying to change his orientation a little bit, change orientation again there. Changes again right there. It's changing too rapidly for that just to be like a parallax effect from the drone above. But right here, this is where you can see that there's clearly nothing between them, right? You can actually see them spread apart right there. You see them spread apart right there a little bit. There's very small detail. This shows that what we're looking at is not a connected structure. We can see right through it right there. But we also see the field around this plasma. Another detail. Do you notice that right there? Who sees it? You know what you're looking at there? Do you notice anything weird about the heat signature we're seeing? The heat signature looks like an orange slice. Let me pull all this up. Can I add more than one video? Remember the orange slice? Doesn't it look just like this? Doesn't it look just like that? Those orange slices with the heat signature just like that? Doesn't that what that looks like right there? Do you see it spin? Am I the only one that sees it spin at the end there? I'm gonna have to slow this down. I think it, Yeah, I think we hit a, oh wow, holy shit. That might only be like the orange slice of it. Those might not, we might only be seeing part of the plasma in this. Sorry, I just noticed another detail with this. It almost looks like that's just part of it, and there's a darker part of it. Whoa. Whoa. Holy shit. Holy shit. I think it is. I think that we're just so far away in this camera angle that you can barely see the entire field of it. And because this one is so close, we can see the entire field. Because you see how like the plasma is almost the same. The only reason why we can tell that's a sphere is because how zoomed in it is. If we were zoomed out, we would probably just see the orange slice. Oh, hot diggity. Hot diggity. Okay. So we're finding out some more details here. Interesting. So it may have a similar structure. So these are most likely aneutronic plasma fusion. The other thing, comparing to the MH370 videos, for example, as we've noticed in this video here, you can see these lines. It's kind of hard to see. They're pretty faint, but there's these black lines in front of the orbs, which clearly are directing where they're going. You could say it's like an anti-gravity beam, but it's really probably just X-rays. But it is serving the purpose of, you know, propelling them forward. They don't need a lot of force to pull them forward because it's almost like a balloon that's under control in terms of how it moves from a physics perspective. So I think what's happening is in this new footage we've seen, you can't see that because we're too far away. My guess is if we were zoomed in with one of these FLIRs, you're going to see this faint line in front of these orbs, just like in the MH370 videos. But because it's so far away, you can't see it. Because people wonder, how are these things, like, where's the propulsion? I mean, look at what we're looking at here. They're just floating around through the sky, but they're moving way too fast to be balloons or something. Like, there's clearly some method of self-propulsion at play. The propulsion is just not able to be seen because we're too far away. We found the propulsion is aneutronic fusion. That's why they're not releasing more heat. When you look at it, it looks like a cold sun. I mean, it's not cold like ice, but it's colder than the sun. If you were looking at the sun there, it would be so bright you couldn't see anything. So what you're looking at there is relatively cool if we were talking about a miniature sun or something like that. So it's not using heat as its method of propulsion. It's using some other mechanism. The triangle formation, how is it doing that? Cool fusion, exactly. Now, how is it doing this triangle formation? Magnet inversion. Are you ready to learn some science? Did you think you were going to learn some science today, chat? Probably. We learned a lot of science, actually. Here you go. Magnet inversion.
Fond of magnetic toys, and I have quite a number of them in my collection. Only very occasionally, in fact only twice, I think, I've come across magnetic toys which show a completely new principle. And this is the second one I've come across, extraordinary. And it consists of just 4 neodymium discs, which are very strong magnets.
I'm just going to skip
ring
ahead
here. We're going to get this into, push it away from quite up.
Where is it?
That's quite strong now. And this one here, oh, that's a strong one. To show how strong they are, we'll just bring it together and see what happens. It's going to push it away from quite a distance. Anyway, we want it to be attracting, so I'm going to put it in that mode there when it's going to...
Okay, so first thing we realize with magnets, we have 2 modes. We just watched one magnet push the other magnet away. If we flip it around, they're going to come together really quickly, right? What happens if we mix up our magnetic configuration? Start playing around with it like some Legos. Let's see.
Oh, come towards it, and we'll keep it away. Now, the ring here, we're going to get this into repulsion mode to try and get it to push away. Oh, it's attracting. So I'll turn it over, and now it should repel. Yes, it's repelling. Now the clever part is when we put these 2 pieces together as an assembly, we've now got a single magnetic system in which we have one that's going to be attracted to this, and a little set of ring of 6 which are being repelled by this outside magnet. What's going to happen? When I bring this towards it, it's being attracted to the middle one, but it's being...
So what's going to happen, chat? Now what we did, we put one set of magnets inside of the opposite polarity magnets, and we tied them together. That's what's happening on the right side of the screen. One polarity magnet on the inside surrounded by the opposite polarity. What's going to happen when we put it next to another magnet this time? Who can guess? People are saying spin. People are saying lock in, stay in place, spin. Let's find out.
Being repelled by the little satellite ones on the outside. What could happen? Oh, it was attracted and it stopped. It's being repelled. There's about an 1/8 or 1/4 inch air gap there now where it can't get any closer, but not further away either. That's absolutely amazing. If I turn...
Woo, baby, look at that. That locked in. Locked in, and now it's just stuck there.
This one, well, nothing much there. If I turn the big one, though, the ring, let's see what happens. It turns around with it. Still maintaining that.
And if one of them turns, the other ones turn as well. Quite interesting. Quite interesting phenomenon that we have going
Air
on
gap
right
of
here.
about 1/8 to 1/4 inch all the way around.
Little known phenomenon in magnetism called magnet inversion, where if you stack or combine 2 different polarities of magnets, surround one polarity with the other, what will happen is they will pull together and then stop at a certain point, and then they'll stay in that equilibrium position. So when you ask, how are these 3 plasma orbs staying in this weird triangle formation, even though they're independent objects? The answer is because they're little magnets. Well, big magnets, actually. Big magnets. Just like in the old cartoons, the guy making the electromagnets charging up their little ball. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with here. And they can set how much charge they want, which can determine how close or how far that magnet inversion equilibrium is going to be. In fact, it's to a point where one orb can basically control 3 orbs once they get locked into position, because when one spins, it changes the orientation of another. This is how and why you'll see the orbs set and spin around MH370 like that. Very incredible technology that not beyond human comprehension. Because the narrative I get from watching the videos that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are clearly putting out at a controlled rate, the narrative I get is they're trying to make me think that that's aliens doing that. Why aren't they explaining it the way I'm explaining it? Which is that that's plasma, and that plasma has this property of self-organization. And plasma also, because it's electromagnetic, the same property that gives it its self-stability. That's what also basically makes it a magnet, an electromagnet, a capacitor. It's just a ball of lightning because of that same exact property. This is why we never solved fusion. What I'm telling you right now is the felony physics of the night. Why did we never solve fusion? Because fusion requires plasma. And we learned something magical about our universe from plasma. We learned that the plasma is interacting with the medium. We learned we can potentially extract energy from it, and we can manipulate the plasma to become a stabilized structures. Basically, all of the things that fusion struggles with, we found the holy grail that solves them all. That's, I mean, you want to know why we covered that up? Just think about that. And we covered it up back in like the 60s. We said, you know what? Nobody's going to get this. And now there's clearly a concerted effort to get people to think that the aliens are invading or whatever. What I mentioned on the last stream was that Bill Maher told Dan Farah, Timu Ashton, DEI Ashton, told him, feels like these UFOs appeared after we set off the atomic bomb, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's when all the stories started coming out. Exactly. Let's go. We're going to come back to the analysis, but I want to show a couple things here. Sidetrack just for a moment. Michael Shermer. I'm going to address I think he's like the king debunker or something. I don't know. Not a very impressive guy, if I'm being perfectly honest. Not impressive. For people that doubt me, I did read his amazing opinion piece here. I've reported on UFO sightings for decades and come to this conclusion. What conclusion do you think it is? His conclusion is that he thinks it's all balloons. He thinks all the UFOs are balloons. Now, this is not what I want to rip on him on here. The reason why Michael Shermer is just a low IQ simpleton is because he doesn't even have all the variables when he's making his decision. His whole argument here, and you can read it for yourself. In fact, I'll put it in there. He wants people to see this. Sure, put it in there. You have to pay for this, by the way. Unbelievable. He basically says these people are all misidentifying everything. But the big problem I have is he says, I break it down to 3 different options. He says there's one of 3 options, one of 3 categories. In my own classification system, I put reported UFO and UAP sightings into 3 categories. And obviously he's woke disclosure because it says UAP. Ordinary terrestrial, balloons, camera, lens effects, visual. So basically he's saying it's misidentified balloons. That's number 1. Number 2, extraordinary terrestrial, Russian or Chinese spy planes capable of feats unheard of in the United States. So he's saying the United States doesn't have it, but maybe Russia or China has a secret weapon. So number 1, he says balloons. Number 2, he says China or Russia. And number 3, he says aliens. Those are his options for UFOs. Now, obviously, there's a 4th option. I don't know how anybody can talk about the UFO phenomenon and not talk about the 4th option. The United States government, have you ever heard of them? The most powerful military in the entire world. We've got the richest, most powerful defense contractors in the entire world. Those defense contractors are saying we got technology to take ET home. In fact, some of you may say, Ashton, chill, dude, chill. Like, you don't need to go that hard on this guy. I think I do. I beg your pardon. I think I do need to go this hard on this guy. So here you go. Take a look at this. This is his post, by the way, about his article. This is how I found his article. He says, of the thousands or comments, I mean, bro, this, by the way, he's lead editor of a magazine, BTW chat. Lead editor of a magazine, BTW. The 3rd word in his Twitter post is wrong. 4th word. Of the thousands or comments, there should be of. Here you go. Hey, Michael Shermer, if you need an editor, somebody to, spot check your Twitter posts and just edit your content because it's not very good, I'm just saying, I might do a side gig for you. Of the thousands or comments to my op-ed on UFOs, this one stands out. So he's approving this comment. He likes this comment. I worked for the Department of Defense for 40 years. I tested airplanes for the Navy, developed the Global Missile Defense System, and worked on special projects for the Secretary of Defense. And I can say without hesitation that there are no such thing as UAPs. I agree. Fuck UAPs. They're all UFOs. The term UAP implies that no one knows what the aerial phenomenon is. I contend that all unidentified aerial phenomenon are known and are all misidentified aerial phenomenon. Just because someone is looking from the ground, sees something they don't understand, doesn't mean it's nefarious or otherworldly. We have a classification system for a reason: confidential, secret, top secret. And our capabilities are beyond science fiction. What? Hold. Pause. Wait. What was that last sentence? Repeat that again, please. We have a classification system for a reason, and our capabilities are beyond science fiction. Just because you don't understand doesn't mean that no one understands. Freedom isn't free. Let me say, I 1,000,000% agree with anonymous 40-year DOD official. Every single thing they said, I could not agree more with. We have technology beyond science fiction. Just because you see something in the sky doesn't mean it's aliens. Just because you don't understand how something works doesn't mean it's magical alien physics. Who is this person? Is that my grandpa? Will you be my dad? I swear. I get a hippie dad, chat, that sends me to like 3 different schools with different religions. Some people get badasses like this that work on science fiction technology. And y'all think I'm privileged? I'm basically just a slave like y'all. Anyway. But the problem with this is that this is the argument Michael Shermer is using for why aliens don't exist. Why all UFOs are just balloons. Bro, he's telling you right there, your fourth option, United States government. You know, the people that dropped the nuke, the people that dropped the H-bomb on Battle Castle Bravo, like the most powerful country in the world. The crazy part is they're willing to believe in their minds that we have advanced technology beyond the public, but it's not anything that nobody knows about. like how do you hold those two conflicting beliefs in your mind? Like Michael Shermer, if I were to debate him, he would 100% say that, yeah, the government military has technology beyond, like what the public knows about. But it's not anything special. You're like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, it just has all the same stuff that we have in the public, just better. Like, you don't think they have like maybe a slightly different understanding of physically? Maybe they've solved the physics that the public hasn't solved and still struggles with. Like, they can't. People like this don't see the disconnect. And the only reason why I point this out is not just to rip on Michael Shermer, which honestly he kind of deserves it. It's to tell you guys and show you guys how they've been able to cover this stuff up for so long, so easily. People work against their own best interests the same way where people are going to work against their own interests with this video too. I mean, how much more can you ask for in this? You can see the fields around these orbs. Look at that. It's incredible. You can see the field these orbs are making due to the powerful electromagnetic fields. And it has to be electromagnetic fields around those orbs. I mean, what do people think that you're looking at there? Some people are going to probably try to say that's like a skydivers with flares on them. What are the most common? Skydivers with flares, GTFO. Chinese lanterns, get out. Get out. Balloons under intelligent control in a triangle formation. Again, just get out. What they're going to say, it's like an airplane. Bro, airplanes look like airplanes in FLIR. Look at the MH370 video. You can see the Boeing 777. You can overlay the Boeing 777 over a real Boeing 777. That's not an airplane. People are like trying to do the thing they do where they see Jesus' face in the toast. They're like, shit. They're like, hold on, let me go full screen. They're like, oh shit. I think I see an airplane in there. Hold on, in the middle. If you look real close, there's an airplane in there hiding. Like, what are you talking about, dude? There's no airplanes, bro. That's just 3 plasma orbs connected together. Simple as that. Jeremy Corbell even pointed out when he was revealing that information about it, he was saying that it's not one connected unit. He even reveals this, which shows he knows way more. This guy knows way more than what he's saying. The guy's he's such a fucking bad liar. He's a little theater kid. Can't stand him. So he's even saying that it's not one unit. It's they're connected using this magnet inversion to stay stuck together like that. So I can't actually, by the way, I can't believe that clip of him admitting all that information, because it's basically him being a terrible liar. Like if I were to corner Jeremy Corbell, like this is probably why he doesn't want to talk to me. If I put this dude under an interrogation, he's going to be singing, dude. We're going to find out who his sources are, which one of these generals or whoever is giving him this shit, or whoever in the DOD is feeding him stuff. It's probably somebody who's woke, you know? Probably. We're going to stop. You know what? We're going to stop disclosure. We're anti-disclosure. I want to find out Jeremy's sources, put a stop to. No. I'll let him release more videos. It's vindicating us. It's vindicating us, chat. Don't care that much. Okay. Want to look at something else here. Where's my plasma propulsion thing? Ooh. I wish that was better. Okay. One thing I want to point out here. This is where we have declared war on the deep state, on the program. We have to know the relevant players. Now, I'm not accusing people of being in the deep state, but I do want to point out this is the next national security advisor. I think it just got approved. Excuse me. Oh, he's the nominee. So probably going to get approved because president just gets whatever he wants. Trump gets whatever he wants. So this guy here, I looked him up a little bit. Do I have his bio up? Yeah. U.S. Army Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd. Okay. So I'm not even going to suffer you guys through this 4-minute speech here. He basically says technology is sweet. And I was like, I'm curious as to what this guy's background is. Like, if you're going to be national security advisor, you know about the Orbs. You know about this technology. Like, every national security advisor is going to know about this technology. I think that national security advisor is like way, way up there. If I were to say which positions know for sure, NSA, National Security Advisor, and probably the Director of National Intelligence for sure. CIA Director as well, right? They're going to know about that we have this secret weapon that you can break out, and they're going to know you never talk about it. Not even to your family, right? Like this is the kind of thing that's like the highest levels of secrecy. So I'm not even going to play this clip for you. Instead, I'm just going to read his bio, his background. Got it up here. We're not going to read all this, but I just want to have, I think it's important that we are somewhat informed. So he's from Southern California, grew up in Southern Carolina. I don't care about all that. Just tell me where he worked. Deputy Commanding General, Infantry Division, Deputy Commanding General, the Special Forces from 2018 to 2019. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this guy, there's nothing in here that made me think he's connected to the MH370 videos. But I just thought this was interesting because you realize Special Forces. Back in the old days, I would have just thought, oh, Special Forces is badass. Now I'm like, are we deploying these weapons in Special Forces? Probably. So most likely what you'll see is these people in these high positions, they've all had a stint through Special Forces because we trust the people that are willing to stay quiet about those types of things with being national security advisor, for example. So I think this is a relevant piece of information for us to learn. Commander of, I don't even know what that stands for, GIATF NCR, commander of the Forward Deployment for Joint Special Operations Task Force. Ooh. Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd probably knows about some Orbs, chat. This is some content you're not going to get literally anywhere else. Anywhere else. Forward Deployed Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force. Commander of the 3rd Operations Support Group and commander of the Forward Deployed Joint Task Force. He served as the commander of Special Operations Command in the Pacific, where he oversaw special operations forces across 52% of the globe, while providing operational oversight for the planning and execution of sustained special operations to ensure a free and secure Indo-Pacific. You know what? I'm going back. He fucking knows, chat. He fucking knows. He knows about MH370. If you were to corner this dude, he wasn't probably involved in the operation, but he could have been. He could have been. He could have been involved in the operation, and he definitely would know. Because you're going to know about our crazy advanced technology, and you're going to know that an airliner doesn't just fucking disappear. So even if you weren't read in on it, you know what kind of insane operations we're capable of pulling off. Good pick. Good pick, Trump. By the way, I love the CIA, and I would never harm myself. I would never harm myself. I would never hurt myself. I would never fall down an elevator shaft or get, acute onset leukemia. Honestly, I'm starting to get a little worried that I might be pushing a little far. I just don't care, though. Okay. That's all I wanted to read from that part. That's good enough. Next thing. The electric propulsion drones. Where's my thing for this? Why didn't I not bookmark this well enough? There we go. We're going to connect together some points here that are going to be relevant for you. And then we're going to talk about the Aharonov-Bohm effect. Where's my electric propulsion drones, chat? So, they are using neuro-linguistic programming. Here it is. And I've been talking about this for a while. Not only do they have these plasma drone orbs that can apparently spin together and rip through space-time, cause fusion detonations to happen, they mess with the wording of this stuff. They change cold fusion to low energy nuclear reactions and other weird ass shit that nobody wants to talk about. It's boring. It's lame. They turn UFOs into UAPs. They basically make everything woke go to shit. It's like put a chicken in it, make it gay, turn UFOs into UAPs. Of course, Hillary Clinton was the one that made that famous. Gayest acronym ever. UAPs. This is what they're doing with nukes. The whole term nukes doesn't mean anything to us anymore. Nuclear energy doesn't even mean anything to us anymore. There's so many options. Just saying nuclear energy. But the problem is we're so simple-minded, us cattle, that we don't even ask the question. They just say, we're going to use nuclear energy. Bring in nuclear energy back. Isn't that sweet, everybody? And everyone's just like, yeah, rah, rah, that's awesome. And nobody asks, like, what do you mean? What nuclear is it? Are we talking about fusion, fission? Because as far as we know, fusion hasn't happened, according to the public. So if you're saying nuclear, you're talking about small nuclear reactors? Are you talking about thorium reactors? What are you talking about here? Now, listen to this. Because he's what, the NASA guy? NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. By the way, hold on here. Chat. I think, we don't even need fusion. We can just fly these ears to the to Mars. What are we doing here? These ears are huge. Holy shit, chat. I'm pretty sure we can just take those to Mars. We might be good. Okay, just kidding. Here we go. That was mean of me, chat. That was mean of me. Anyway, here he is talking about transcontinental railroad to Mars. Transcontinental railroad to Mars. What does that mean?
So what's next after the moon? Sorry to get ahead because I know the moon two more years from now. Will NASA send astronauts to Mars eventually or in our lifetime?
We absolutely will. And again, President Trump did account for this in his national space policy. So he said, make the investments in the next giant leap capabilities. That's nuclear power and propulsion. It won't be long before we are going to have the capability to send American astronauts to Mars. The trick is, the hard part is bringing them back. That's where nuclear power and propulsion comes in. So before the end of President
Okay, continue.
Trump's term, we will launch our first nuclear power and propulsion rocket. That's going to essentially almost...
Hold up. Pause. Nuclear electric rocket. Okay, finish, and then I'll analyze what you said.
Establish the transcontinental power and propulsion. We'll launch our first nuclear power and propulsion rocket. That's going to essentially almost establish the transcontinental railroad to Mars. It's how you efficiently move lots of mass to Mars. So it's not necessarily always the fastest way to get there, but it gives you the tools to build out potentially a Martian outpost, certainly to mine and refine propellant on Mars, which is what you're going to need to bring your astronauts back home.
So what's next?
Bro. The way he's talking about it's not the fastest way to get there, but it's most efficient to carry a lot of mass. You have to mine your fuel to go home. What fuel, Anakin? What do you do to the younglings, Anakin? What fuel is it? Is it helium-3, Anakin? Is it helium-3 to take a fusion rocket? Are we talking about a neutronic fusion here? Because it sounds exactly like all of the claims being made by all these aneutronic fusion propulsion rockets. But why wouldn't you just say fusion? Oh, because we're not supposed to know about that. So you can't use the word fusion. You can't call it aneutronic fusion propulsion like I've literally been calling it for how many months now? You got to call it nuclear electric propulsion. That's the neuro-linguistic way to determine it. Sorry, Trump administration. Sorry, McGee. What's his name again, chat? I feel bad. It's not Ears McGee. It's Jared Isaacman. Sorry, Jared Isaacman. My bad. I didn't know, wink, wink, what we were calling it. Nuclear electric propulsion orbs. Sorry, guys. You were right. I was the silly one for calling it plasma fusion orbs. They're nuclear electric propulsion orbs. Duh. That's the intellectual approach. Now, some of you may be saying, some of you skeptics out there may say, Ashton, bullshit. You're just making it. He's talking about advanced balloon technology. He's talking about, fission. He's talking about making a nuclear reactor that's going to fly away. First question, how big do you think a nuclear reactor is? If we can make nuclear reactors that could fly in rockets, do you think we would just use those as power sources everywhere? And some of you may say, yes, small modular reactors. Those aren't thought to exist yet either. So if we were even doing that, that would be impressive. However, I have the receipts. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, gentlemen. A little buildup, though, before we get to that. A little hint for the longtime followers here. Just play this video here without much context. Here's a guy working on a fusion reactor.
For us, the fuel is a fusion plasma, and the plasma is just an ionized gas. But we have a very special one we make here in this laboratory that kind of creates its own magnetic field that confines it into a little blob we call a plasmoid. So that's perfect as sort of the seed for the fusion reaction that we want to do to produce the energy for the rocket. Obviously, the bomb people, when they were developing the hydrogen bomb and doing that, they weren't interested in increasing the
Obviously, the hydrogen fusion bomb people, they were obviously doing exactly what I'm doing. Isn't that so funny?
scale, not decreasing it. So it's a different direction entirely, but it makes use of the same sort of physical principles that were involved in that you create a momentarily a very hot gas that can yield tremendous amounts of energy. For us,
okay, who is that? Who is this guy talking about fusion plasma gases? That's John Slow, co-founder of Helion Energy. Oh, will you look at that? Some of you may say, Ashton, this doesn't mean anything. What do you mean? Well, sir, you fell into my trap card. You didn't wait for the final reveal. You only waited for the first reveal. What is this? What is this that my eye thus spy? Here. What does this say? John Slow ResearchGate. The FRC Acceleration Space Thruster Experiment, also known as the FAST experiment, from the sweet old year of 2002. The year of old, 24 years ago. The FAST experiment. Oh, also, look who his co-author was. What a small world. Richard Eskridge of NASA? Huh? Richard Eskridge of NASA. The father of Amy Eskridge, who tragically, trust the narrative, chat, took her own life when she was going to reveal anti-gravity. It happens to many people. Very common thing to happen. Nothing strange about it. Nothing strange about it. Rest in peace, Amy. She's with us. Just saying, let's just read this. The objective of the field reverse configuration acceleration space thruster, literally using field reverse configuration as a thruster, is to investigate the use of a repetitive field reverse configuration source as a thruster, specifically for an NEP. Well, the government loves their acronyms. What does NEP stand for? Oh, nuclear electric propulsion. Well, let's pull it up on the big screen. What does that say? Well, what do we got there, chat? What do my eyes spy there, chat? Nuclear electric propulsion thruster. Well, will you look at that? Huh. Got him. Hold on. Where is it? Boom. Gotcha, bitch. Boom. Gotcha, bitch. Ooh, feels good. Feels good to win, chat. Feels good to win. So, using the field reverse configuration fusion plasma for our nuclear electric propulsion system, the field reverse configuration is a plasmoid with a closed poloidal field structure. Well, isn't that interesting? Almost sounds like it would look like an orb of plasma. A poloidal field structure is the Earth field structure for the magnetic fields. So the plasma would look similar to how the Earth works, and that the ends, the poles, the north and south poles, are the jets. And only in your aneutronic fusion reactor does this become a thing. Some of you may say, Ashton, okay, you got me. You got me. Too many receipts. But what if it's just normal fusion? What if it's just metal donut fusion? Why does it have to be aneutronic fusion? Well, I'm glad you asked. Number one, no radiation. Biggest problem is if you use a normal fusion reaction, a normie fusion reaction, hot fusion reaction, without our aneutronic fuel, you're going to destroy your mechanism. Big thing you're worried about is the magnetic fields weakening or destabilizing. If you lose your magnetic field, the whole thing's going to come undone and you're cooked. Number one. Number two, directed energy conversion. These things need to be efficient. The reason why they look like magic is because they're just hyper efficient in every possible mechanism from an aerodynamic standpoint. Hyper efficient. So you need this thing to not be making steam. We can't be powering this thing off heat. This thing needs to be powered off electricity. And the beauty of aneutronic fusion is it gives you electricity as the output. It's like the golden goose laying golden eggs out here. The third and last reason, I think 3, 4, whatever. Last reason, this is actually considered a downside. This is like in Magic cards where you take your downside of your card, your discard cards, and you're like, yo, I'm pulling shit out of my graveyard. I'm great with the analogies tonight. The last one is in aneutronic fusion, you have jets. You have an exhaust. That axial, that poloidal field, there's a reason for it. It's not 100% contained. When we think about our tokamak, what they talk about doing is making your donut where the plasma is just stuck in here. When it comes to the field reverse configurations, you have jets where the stuff goes out. But we're going to dig in the graveyard. If you have a fusion reactor that's not moving around, that's a downside. Because now you got to shoot that exhaust somewhere where it's safe, especially if it's X-rays as your exhaust or gamma rays. But you can use that as propulsion. It's not that you're using the exhaust as fuel. You're using the exhaust as propulsion. And because our object is already light as a feather, swoop like a bee, sting like light as a feather, sting like a bee. How does it go? Whatever. Because our thing is already light as a feather, we don't even need that much force for it to move around. So that's the beauty of this. They can use the aneutronic fusion X-ray exhaust as a form of propulsion. So really, the holy grail when it comes to advanced propulsion mechanisms. And this is, of course, it's classified. Of course it's classified. Are you kidding me? The more I've been reading about the science and the physics, I think I read today that Bohm's quantum mechanics, the Ehrenhoff-Bohm effect, parts of quantum mechanics were classified until, what, the 70s or 80s or something like that? Or the 60s? I can't remember. So there's no doubt that physics and physics principles have been classified. Let me think. What else did I want to show? Okay, now let's go back to the video again, because this video deserves a lot of attention. In my opinion, just like I said, possibly the best UFO footage ever after the MH370 videos. So we have auto tracking, or sorry, no auto tracking, manual tracking, which means someone's controlling the camera. Some may say, oh, is it like, recording the screen or like the MH370 drone video? No, this is not whammy. This is not wide area motion imagery. So what you see here was what they were recording in real time when this really happened. Now, it may be a recording of that, but the movement were the camera operator that was in real time. Hopefully that makes sense to people. I know it can be a little bit confusing. Now, the location here might matter if there was some kind of event that happened. We do have coordinates on this as well, which is pretty new. I don't know if we've seen these videos with coordinates on them before. So we have coordinates other than the whammy footage. This would matter if there was some kind of real event that we could tie this to. But there's nothing that really happens here other than we see these orbs flying around. It does look like it does kind of look like they're like spinning around or something. Like if you look at the orb on the left, it almost looks now like you're looking at the top half. Like the orange slice is like facing up now. Very odd. And you can pretty clearly see through it. Like you can clearly see there is like this glow around it. But yes, as I mentioned, you can't see the propulsion mechanism. It's not close enough to be able to see that just yet. But just like with the Burleson video, I'm sure this is plasma. That's where the lock tried to happen right there. So this is where they lock in and it fails. Yeah, see that lock? Yeah, and then the lock fails. So they were trying, it looks like they were trying to auto track it. Because he sees the lock here, she sees the lock come on, and then they like let go of the tracking. They stop trying to track it and they lose the tracking here for a second. Pretty interesting. Let's look at that again. Looks like they thought the tracking was going to work, but it doesn't. It just misses it. Yeah. The fact that the tracking misses like that is probably one of the biggest clues of this, that it proves that that's plasma. Because that would mean that whatever this is has some stealth features or capabilities connected to it. And plasma naturally does. Electromagnetic waves below the plasma frequency, I think it is, wavelength, whatever, can't penetrate it or something like that. Yeah. Also, another detail, someone said, was this a test? Great. I'm glad you said this. I'm going to forget. I want to make sure I get all the talking points I was thinking and had written down. This is from 2012. This predates the MH370 videos, but the proximity is relatively close. Maybe 20 months. So what if they were testing this stuff out? If we get more footage like this, we might really be able to piece together like when they first figured this out and when they started using it in covert operations. My feeling right now is that they only started to get this figured out in like the 2000s. And here in 2012, when we're looking at it, that's relatively new. In the cosmic scheme of the universe, like we caught them right away. And this is where people are saying like, oh, if this was real, it would leak out. It is leaking out like crazy. And we are living in the time where it's now just being accepted as, oh, shit. There is actually, this is really going on. It's not just nonsense. It's not just China. It's aliens or it's China, chat. It's either balloons, aliens, or China. Those are the only options. China. Come on, bro. You think China is going to have any of this shit? I mean, they're probably trying to catch up, but put into just like, look at what we're looking at here. Think about all the material science and research. This is not like, oh, somebody just randomly figured out plasma orbs, the weird orange slice in them, non-equilibrium plasma. Somebody didn't just randomly. This is like the culmination of decades of research that we're looking at and material science. In fact, even from what we know now, we still couldn't recreate the orbs. There are still engineering, specifically material science challenges, specifically because the plasma encapsulates whatever's inside there. They have a way to perfectly separate the plasma from the superconducting magnets inside. Because if they were to touch, it would mess everything up. So from a material science standpoint, what we're looking at there is nothing less than a modern marvel. Equivalent to going to the moon, equivalent to the nuke itself. That's why this looks like aliens to normal people. When in reality, we're just looking at what nuclear weapons turned into. This is like the final form of nuclear weapons, right? The nuclear weapons we know were like the retarded cousin version of nuclear weapons. We were putting some jank together. We made a big boom. Sweet. Then we figured out the underlying principles. And now we're like Cell, final form, ultimate Cell in Dragon Ball Z. Like, we now have absorbed the knowledge, and we've absorbed so much knowledge and abilities that we are just even improving ourselves, making ourselves even more perfect. Perfect cell. Perfect disclosure. Boom. Okay, let's watch it again. Or the end here. The end here part was the best part for me. This is the part where I went, holy shit. Because you can see it completely change orientations here. Because now when the debunkers come up and try to say, oh, it's just parallax, it's just a drone above going like this, they're going to try to say that. It's not going to work because the movements are too swift right there. Like, that's clearly those objects are changing and moving directions. So this is the part where I don't have to like Jeremy Corbell. In fact, I don't like him. I think he's a gross theater kid. I think he's definitely a gatekeeping. I think him, George Knapp, Deep State Ross, I think they're all in the know. And I think they're intentionally only leaking stuff out as they're given. And I think their reward is that they get to be weird influencers and pretend to be famous, which is what they all really want deep down. That's just my opinion. But what I'll say is, even though I don't like them, I will debate anybody on the authenticity of that video. Anybody. I don't even need to have talked to sources to know. Or I don't even have spoken to sources to know that video is real. You want to come and do a debate with me where you try to claim that's balloons or an airplane or some psycho shit like that? Please, I will accept. I will accept. Because more people need to understand how plasma works and what plasma is capable of doing. Okay, guys, let's do a little science. Oh, well, let's finish this. Okay, let's finish the last bit of this. Yeah, you can definitely kind of see them. Seems like they stretch out a little bit. Not much, but a little. I think that would just be a matter of changing how much charge is in them. I was going to say they're a little amorphous, but no, I think that what we're seeing there is just the heat signature move around because it's an orb and we see the hotter part of them. So for the people that are saying, oh, well, it's just blurry, guys, holy shit. The debunkers that are going to say, like, this is blurry footage, this is the best possible footage for 2012. That's 2012. You probably didn't even have an HD TV in 2012. You brokey. You're trying to say that this is not good footage? This camera is probably like a $250,000 camera that they're recording on right here. What are we talking about here? If people are saying this is not high enough, what do you want if this is not good enough? This is not a cell phone recording, right? Like, what are we talking about here? I think what they're upset about is in their minds, they're thinking that those objects are that's just plasma. The reason why it looks that way is it's plasma. It's not blurry. What are we talking about? It's got a field around. You can even see like the dome field around the objects here. I knew right away this is not fake. I mean, what's crazy is imagine the other shit they have. Imagine the other shit they have. They're willing to let this be revealed. They were comfortable being like, sure, Jeremy Corbell, just release this and here you go. Tell them that this was, they filed this under UFO. What the fuck? They have a whole thing of videos. They have a whole file of videos documented under UFO that look like this. I am probably going to crash out, actually. I'm trying. I've been trying real hard. By the way, let's tell a quick funny story because I'm just change of pace here. They have fucking videos like this. They have videos like this in a file called UFOs, and Jeremy Corbell is sitting on this information from the world. And we're pretending like disclosure is organic. If you got shit, like, what are we talking about? Stop messing around with this disclosure crap. If you just got the answers and you've got the videos that prove it all, just show us. Stop pulling a Candace Owens. Stop grifting this out, dragging this out. Okay. Fun story. I came back from errands today. Short errands, actually, less than an hour. And I come inside, and usually Lulu's right inside the door. Usually I open the door and Lulu's getting up because she's upset that I've just pushed her away from the door. She's not there. Okay. I kind of look to my left, look down the hall. I don't happen to see her. I come into the streamer room here, right? At my computer. I'm looking around and I don't see Lulu. I'm like, huh. So I'm starting to get a little worried, but not really, I look outside. I'm like, did I forget to bring her in? I'm not retarded, right? Like, I didn't forget to bring her in. Look outside. She's not out there. I'm like, I start going through the rooms. I go to my bedroom. I'm like, she's sleeping on the bed. Is she under the bed? Like, what's going on? I'm looking around. I don't see her. Now I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Like, where is she? I go back to the bathroom. I mean, sometimes she lies in the bathroom. It's cool or something like that. I don't see her on the floor. All of a sudden, I look up towards the tub. There she is staring at me in the tub. And the best part, she was trapped in the tub. She couldn't get out. She was sitting there and like she was too afraid to like go out because she didn't want to get halfway stuck in and halfway stuck out. I laughed my ass off. I took a photo of Lulu sitting there staring at me, like begging for need a evac. We need an evac here. Need evac from the tub. I just thought, how did you get in there? And why did you get in there? And I was only gone for like an hour. So bizarre. So I evac'd Lulu, chat. We found her. She was in the tub. We had a rescue. Rescued poor Lulu. She's chilling right here, actually, right now, listening to the story while she's being made fun of. She doesn't even care. No F's given. Okay. So back to the task at hand. That video is up there with the Eric Burleson video, which I should play again. What did I call that? That was the one I don't even remember what I called it, huh? Did I just call it plasma? Oh, I don't even remember what I called it. The Eric Burleson video that he released, it got hit by the Hellfire missile. It gets hit by the Hellfire missile, and then it shatters into multiple pieces. But it just doesn't go to the ground. It just keeps floating. Why? Because that's how you would expect plasma to look. Because it's a liquid. A liquid that just kind of continues in its amorphous shape based on those electromagnetic fields that it produces. A couple other reveals from this week. Number one, turns out plasma is liquid in nature. It has been proven. I thought this was already proven like forever ago, but apparently that's just like a brand new thing. And I'm just way far ahead of the game, apparently. So wait, where was that? Oh, here it is, I think. Yeah, here. Okay. MIT physicists. That's how you know it's definitely legit, chat. MIT physicists observed the first clear evidence that quarks create a wake as they speed through quark gluon plasma, confirming the plasma behaves like a liquid. Hydrodynamics, magnetohydrodynamics. Yeah, I thought this was known. I thought we already knew about this, but okay, apparently this is new for some people out there. So yeah, this is important because we are in a medium. And now the secret of the felony physics is that not only does plasma create its own electromagnetic fields, that's not just the secret. That's one of it. The other part is that if now we don't look, imagine that this what are these earpods, whatever they are. Imagine this is your plasma ball. It's not just the plasma ball we should be thinking about. We should be thinking about all the volume around the plasma ball. We should be thinking about the medium itself and how the medium itself, like if I were to compact the medium, how that would impact the plasma ball. Because what this means, if there is an ether, the 0 point energy that we can tap into, there is a major impact when it comes to plasma stability. Plasma stability goes way up. Now you can manipulate the geometry of space-time in a way where your plasma is always perfectly spherical, whatever you need it to be. You're manipulating the geometry so that everything moves the way you want it to move. Understanding the ether. To do that, we are going to need some equations. And we're not going to do that tonight because I'm lazy and I just want to crash out. But my buddy Veritasium has a little something for us here. So let's take a look at this. Try very hard not to get copyright striked. So I'm going to have to interrupt this probably. The Ehrenhoff-Bohm effect. Brand new Veritasium video, very, very timely. Let me explain. Ehrenhoff-Bohm effect. Some guys rolled up and they realized there was an ether and they were like, hey, we can prove something ain't quite right. So what they did, they took a solenoid. What is a solenoid? A geometric shape where all the electromagnetic fields are trapped on the inside. So a cylinder, imagine a cylinder. All the electromagnetic fields are trapped on the inside in a perfect situation. Now, you would say that if that's the case, if all the fields are trapped on the inside of my cylinder, if I shoot something past that cylinder, should be no effect. Because the fields are what cause things to move around. Right? Simple. Let's do the test.
It's with a beam of electrons, which is split into two. In the middle of these two beams is a tightly coiled wire known as a solenoid. Now, solenoids have an interesting property. When you run a current through one, it produces a strong magnetic field inside the coil and a very weak field outside the coil. The longer the solenoid, the weaker the field in the surrounding space. For simplicity, Aharonov and Bohm imagined a setup with an ideal, infinitely long solenoid.
So, in the real world, the solenoid had to be kind of estimated. Now, what does this mean? It's because you imagine if your tube, like my cup that I have here, if this was only this tall, the magnetic field, even if it was weak, there would be some magnetic field from the bottom connecting up to the top. So you need it to be infinitely tall so that no magnetic field can reach from the bottom to the top like this. Now, they found a way around this later on using a metal donut, of all things. But just for simplicity's sake, assume that that's how it works, whatever.
The magnetic field outside the coil is exactly zero. After traveling on opposite sides of the solenoid, the electron beams are redirected back towards each other by the researchers. And here, at this point, they intersect. Now, since electrons behave as waves, the waves from the intersecting beams overlap and produce an interference pattern, bright fringes with gaps in between them. The exact pattern depends on the phase of each of these waves. When the solenoid is off, there is no magnetic field in the region the electrons are traveling through, and there is no magnetic potential. The phase of the electrons changes in the same way across both beams, regardless of whether they pass above or below the solenoid. And so you get an interference pattern that looks like this.
Okay. So, simple enough. Put the solenoid there. Don't do anything with it. It's just a rock. We've got a rock sitting between our two beams of electrons that are going around it. Nothing happens. We have an interference pattern. Interference pattern happens because our electrons are interfering with one another and we get a normal interference pattern. Great. Now, we charge up our solenoid. Run an electric charge through it. So now there's going to be fields, electric and magnetic fields inside of that solenoid. Classical physics says that if there's no fields, there's nothing there. There's nothing to detect. If you were to put a detector, what I mean with this solenoid is if you were to put a detector outside of the solenoid, out over here, to detect electromagnetic fields, you would detect none. If that's the case, there should be no way for there to be any force whatsoever. Should not be possible.
But when the solenoid is turned on, well, there is still no magnetic field because it's confined entirely within the coil, but there is a magnetic potential. That may sound strange, but remember, the magnetic field is the curl of the magnetic potential. The curl of the potential can be 0 in some region, even when the potential itself is not. And that's exactly what's happening here. Now, take a closer look at the vector potential. In the space the upper beam passes through, the potential points in the opposite direction as the beam. So here, the phase changes faster. But below the solenoid, it points in the same direction as the beam. So the phase changes slower.
Okay. This is the craziest shit right now. What he's saying here is if you were to draw imaginary circles around your solenoid, around your cup, literally imaginary circles that cannot be detected, imaginary circles in a specific spin orientation like you see here, it will perfectly account for the measured effect, experimental effect that we're about to see happen. Why? Because with this particular alignment of spheres, of circles, concentric circles, the top beam is being slowed down. Do I have this right? Hold on. Like it's small. Yeah. The top beam is being slowed down because the fields are going this way, but the beam is trying to go this way. So it's going to slow it down. And at the bottom one, it's being sped up because the beam is going this way and the field is also going this way. So because of this asymmetry, the effect that we should see then, assuming that this conceptual view is correct, we should see our interference pattern shift a little bit. Either the interference pattern will be exactly where it was before, or if there is these invisible lines, potential lines, literally invisible that can't be detected, if they exist, then we're going to see a shift.
If the phase truly depends on the potential alone and not the field, then the phases of the two beams should evolve differently. So as a result, the interference pattern should shift when the solenoid is on versus when it's off.
And guess what, chat? It shifts, baby. It shifts. Whoa. So there are only two ways to interpret this. Are you ready? One, classical physics. This destroys classical physics. Destroys it. This means that classical physics has to say that the fields are non-local. What do they mean by that? They're saying that the fields that are trapped in this cup, they're X-Men, like Charlie Kirk. They're X-Men. They're Professor X. They can somehow just affect things out here. Non-local effect, just magic. They just got magical powers. That's literally what one of the two options is. The other option is that the potentials are what's real. The fields aren't the real thing at all. The fields that are trapped in here aren't the real thing. The thing that's real is the potential. The potential is what's actually controlling the movement. It's always the potential controlling the movement. But that would make very little sense because the potential is nothingness. We can't even measure. Electromagnetism can't even measure that potential. Does that sound familiar, though? Doesn't that sound like something else I've explained before? What else is real but can't be measured electromagnetically? Scalar potentials. Tom Bearden said you can cancel out two waves. There's no electromagnetic potential, no electromagnetic field, but there is still a potential. And this is important because even if there's nothing, you can intersect these nothings and then they'll interfere again and become real. How do we understand this? The answer is obviously the first one. The answer isn't magic, like they're trying to say from a non-local perspective. The only reason why they're even trying to claim that it's a non-local effect is because classical physics is broken down and they're desperately trying to keep the ship from sinking. This is why they have to invent things like dark energy, invent these things, because we look at experimental results and we find that their theories fall apart. The answer is the ether. What are the potentials? What are those potentials? Those potentials are real because we see the experiment. We can see the phase shift. That's real. The potentials are real. The potentials represent the interaction through the medium. You can imagine that you have this wave and the wave hits this wall, right? Classic physics says there's nothing that makes it through the wall. Our ether view of physics says a little bit of ripple makes it through the wall. A little bit of ripple that we can't really detect, but it's there. Almost like a memory. Almost like a memory of what's being projected on our space-time lattice. That would be a good analogy for it. This is why the Aharonov-Bohm effect is so huge. Because we're out here saying there's an extra dimension that must be incorporated into thermonuclear weapons. If you're going to make a fusion bomb and you're going to have it compact down to a black hole, you also need to consider the volume of space that has this 0-point energy in it. You could almost make a fire hose that's shooting 0-point energy out. And here we have an experimental observation that, by the way, they did not want to admit this was real for like 30 years until some smart Japanese people rolled up and figured out they can make a metal donut and shine a beam of light on it, and they can prove, no doubt, Aharonov-Bohm effect is real. They didn't want to admit it. And now they basically just hand wave it. They being the, academia, the experts. Literally just hand wave it. Because clearly it proves the potentials are what's real. What's real is the ether. What's real is the ether. We are the projection. We are the projection. The real thing is the medium that we're in. And if you play around with the medium, you can move the objects within the medium without them even realizing they're being moved. And why is that last part important? This is how you teleport something. You move the medium without the people in the medium even realizing they're being moved. That's how a wormhole actually works, a real wormhole. Is that the people flying in this plane, when they are getting surrounded by that plasma, and that plasma encapsulates them, they're tricking the universe into thinking that this is actually over here. They're tricking the universe into thinking that this is actually over here. And with this extra dimension now, this now makes it possible that what's really happening, if you were to look down from the outside, from the extra dimension down, really what you're doing is someone could just be coming and ripping their hand out. Just like if you were to go to an ocean and see a fish in the water in a lake, and you were to reach down and grab that fish, take it out and put it in a different lake. That's the equivalent. It's almost like someone's reaching out from extra dimension, ripping the plane out of this space-time, and then reappearing over here. So from the plane's perspective, when the fish gets picked up in the water, the fish is like, I'm still just chilling in the water. It doesn't even realize. In the case of the plane, it's happening so fast that from the perspective of the people on board, if they were alive, which I doubt, but if they were alive, they would just be like going through a doorway where now I started in the Nicobar Islands and now I'm just at Diego Garcia. And you're like, wait, why am I over here now? Why am I over here now? Because I stitched together this space-time with this space-time. Weird. Chat, one last thing I want to say before we go to the super chats. I don't want any of this shit to be real. This shit is weird as fuck. I wish it wasn't real. I wish it wasn't real. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I was still ignorant and I was still just doing IT healthcare stuff like a normie. Because the reality is this technology is so powerful that there's no way we're going to survive. I don't know if I did this thought experiment before, but it's worth repeating. Probably did do it. Realize that this technology, every civilization is going to hit a filter with this technology where they either overcome that filter and they survive, or they get wiped out by that filter. They wipe themselves out. If everybody could blow the planet up, how long would we last? Just a few seconds. This means any civilization that gets past this filter is going to be hyper advanced. And they probably are not going to have morals that are similar to our morals. I just wanted to make this point because I think it's a significant one when people think of this idea of UFO or alien disclosure. A lot of people are just thinking in terms of humans' perspective on our level. Aliens are going to be extremely exotic compared to what we are if they've made it through this filter, because there's going to be a history of civilizations that will have been wiped out just by this technology existing because they just didn't make it. Didn't make it. In fact, the big question I have is what is the percentage of species that do make it past this filter? The thermonuclear weapon, fusion, destroy the universe filter. So just something to think about for the weekend. On Monday, we are going to talk about Ferris Williams' 5D theory because I think it gives the blueprint for the electromagnetic equations that are required to pull all this off. This is why Oak Shannon is saying that the government made devices using this theory. It's not that he had some secret, well, he kind of did have some secret math, but it's more of he just said, hey, if we add an extra dimension and extrapolate Maxwell's equations, his electromagnetic equations, now here are the equations that will let you figure out stabilization of plasma better than the current theories. That's it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but hugely significant, hugely impactful. So we're going to talk about that on Monday. Can't wait to go through it with you guys. John Glock, thank you guys in the Pill chat. Thank you, P-Quest. Appreciate you guys. Says, when you said NEP, I instantly thought non-equilibrium plasma. Yeah, the government uses so many acronyms, and that's just another way to confuse people. Non-equilibrium plasma rather than nuclear electric propulsion. But yes, I think that those heat signatures, that heat signature, I have a strong suspicion, is not just a coil, but it's an indicator of a non-equilibrium plasma. We're going to get deeper into this as we excel down the fusion path. But one thing we've realized is what they're trying to do from a fusion perspective is separate the electrons and the ions, rip them apart, and then get all the ions together in a soup together. That's what they want to do. So that alone would imply non-equilibrium. Non-equilibrium mean like have your ions over here, have your electrons be over here, and keep them separated. That's the idea. So non-equilibrium plasma, I think, is essential to this and can explain that heat signature, that weird heat signature you've seen in these orbs. John Glock says, I think maybe people always say aliens is because they want to personify and imagine transport. But since wait, did I just close? Wait, here we go. But since that doesn't seem to be possible in a glowing orb or 3, it must be aliens. But we must know better. This is the other thing too, is that, I mean, I don't know where the aliens are hiding in those little orbs. Those orbs aren't the size of a city. They're definitely relatively small. So there's no room to hide in there. Aneutronic fusion is also one of the only methods to produce a compact reactor. If you look at ITER, ITER, you'll see they're building this massive, like, I don't know, what is it, 10-story fusion reactor? It's huge, huge. And that's the hot fusion approach. If they could build it smaller, of course they would. but their approach can't use high beta. So they can't make it smaller. So these fusion reactors have to be aneutronic. Can't be normal neutronic fusion or neutronic fusion. Okay, we got a lot of super chats here. Jaleel Robinson, direct energy conversion, aneutronic fusion disclosure 2026 chat. I told you I'm seeing the future. I told you the aliens download the information in my brain. Y'all doubted me. Now we've got NASA administrators saying nuclear electric propulsion to Mars. And they're clearly talking about aneutronic fusion just using code words. Seems pretty good to me. DJT, by the way, still a great investment. I think the stock even is a very good deal right now. Recon Ranch, you deserve a drink, brother. I know, I really do. I almost had one today. Went to dinner with my dad. Didn't have a drink. I told him, I was like, Dad, I can't drink, man. I was like, I got to crash out on stream in like an hour. And I told him, if I drink, I'm going to be tipsy and people are going to make fun of me. And I really got to tear some people down. I was like, I got to have my wits about me. No alcohol at Reno. My channel, The Destroyer of Hose. Hose mad, chat. Hose mad. Someone is here about the reaping. And it was the salmon moose. I don't know what that means. Okay. Zapparoo. Jeremy has a discerning taste and he likes to take his time chlorinating orbs before releasing. He also is, he did say, thank you for that donation, by the way, Zapparoo. I think it was on the Steve-O podcast a couple of years ago. He said that it takes him years to vet his videos. Years. And that's the reason why I decided to attack him over that angle tonight. And it's a very valid one to attack him over. You should not be having videos that are that high quality that you are claiming take you 3 years to vet. First of all, how are you vetting any videos? Why is the government working with you at all on vetting videos that they don't, of their surveillance that they shouldn't be helping you with? And number two, why are you sitting on it? Release it immediately. And what else are you hiding, dude? If you had that in your back pocket from 2012, what are we talking about here? How long ago did you get that video? And why have you been sitting on it? And are you helping the government cover this shit up? Because honestly, we're at the point where you are either on the side of disclosure, real disclosure, or you are helping the government push some bullshit narrative. And there's not really a lot of in between here. If you are somebody who has UFO videos that you're working with the government on if it's safe for national security, then you are not on the side of disclosure. You are on the side of woke disclosure. If you are on the side of the people that is trying to get the truth for people's families, by the way, like thousands of people, their family members were one of the 239 people that just disappeared one day. If you're one of the people who's trying to get free energy for the world, let us have a free life where we choose our own future as opposed to it being decided for us by some spooks or some shit, then you are on the side of real disclosure. Timothy Foster, thank you very much. Tell it like it is, bro. Truth holds its own. That's how the creator made this universe. I do like how all this science also points to a creator. Because people like Michael Shermer, too, it's a 2-for-1 special on the Dum Dum train. They are like, oh, they're all atheists, too, right? They're like, oh, anyone who believes there's a God is stupid. And it turns out, actually, if you're, it's like the standard deviation thing, where it's like, you're super stupid, and, it turns out, or like, how does it work? On either end, you're super enlightened. The dumb people are enlightened and the super people are enlightened. In this case, the moment you get to the point where you realize the real physics of the ether, you're like, oh, this is a construct. We are in a construct. There are rules to how this construct was set up. And that means that there's an intellectual design to it, not just randomness. And that is like the exact opposite of the ethos of the atheist viewpoint. So I think it's hilarious that not only are UFOs going to be real, the U.S. government does has built them. They are based on nuclear technology, but also it also kind of proves that there might be a God, that there is a creator for sure. Okay. Timothy Montgomery, thank you for that super sticker. Man, you guys went crazy tonight. Recon Ranch, hell yeah, War Ranch LLC. Thank you. I was wearing your shirt yesterday. Appreciate it, man. Those GPS coordinates in the Gulf of Oman. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Steezy B says, seeing all the magnetic inversion made this all click. Yeah, the magnetic inversion, I think we found that like a year ago. That was like a whole shit moment for me. I was like, oh, it's all just magnetism. That's why they try to make it so complicated. And that's why when they keep adding stuff like dark matter and all this too, they're just making it more and more complicated. We can actually make it less complicated and say, look, there's an extra dimension, but all of this really wraps down to where everything we see is really connected. We're really more of like, not exactly, but similar to like a microchip on a computer. We're all really connected and we don't really see that or perceive that due to our biological limitations. And everything boils back down to electromagnetism. This is why Sal, by the way, this is why Sal believes in the super force. And I'm pretty sure if I were to ask him, this is what he would say, is that because if you look at it from this perspective, now you realize all these forces, the strong nuclear force, the weak force, gravity, these things that we think of as these independent forces all have a common underlying ancestor, common underlying origin to them. And that origin is the super force, or that origin is Yuan theory, right? They look at it and go, oh, we just simplify it. And all the geometry of our three-dimensional reality is what makes it look like what we see and how we perceive it. Brawley GTA 4PS 394. Dr. Forbes is right again. Please don't stop talking about this. You will be remembered. Screw the debunkers and the low IQ numbnuts. Truth be told, I really just talk about this because I like it. I just enjoy. If I did not like doing this, I would just stop immediately. I love this science. I love this physics. And it feels like we're really at a flashpoint. We've really found something here that can't be denied. And I think that the silence from the academics is very telling. When you're wrong about something from a physics perspective, you've got a million people who think they're the smartest person in the world coming to tell you how stupid you are. And claiming that hydrogen bombs manipulate space-time is one of those things where they should be jumping down your throat going, no, the calculations say it's impossible, whatever, but they know that in theory it is possible. They know because we know black holes are possible. So they won't even jump on that. Really shows, I think we found something here. And this is a good way. I mean, I'm not saying it's foolproof, but it's a good way to gauge when you found a narrative that has at least an element of truth to it, is when you get the silent treatment from people that would otherwise be talking down to you, otherwise be, being a detractor in general. So thank you for that donation. Appreciate it, Brawley. Steve's B, swamp gas is swamp gas. I can't wait for the excuses. I'm not even going to look them up tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to play some magic cards. I'm going to look up Mick West excuses, balloons, airplanes, whatever bullshit it is. Going to be funny. Can't wait. Mick Leonard, never thought I would love plasma. I thought plasma was just some random thing. I was like, oh, plasma, state of matter. Why is it special? Then you learn, oh, wait, there's an extra medium and plasma can potentially interact directly with that medium. Once you realize there's this medium and you're like, wait, is the plasma interacting with the medium? If it is, you could make a water wheel pulling energy out of the medium with the plasma. An analogy. Free energy device. Bar T Welding, are they obscuring something flying through the air? No, I don't think so, but that's a good question, and I'm not ruling it out. Because the physics would state that just because something looks small on the outside, it can be big on the inside. But I've concluded that's not what's happening with those orbs. They're not little flying saucers inside of there that are they're bigger than they look. We're just looking at fusion reactors that have turned into heat exchange engines, basically. That's my opinion. Open to changing my mind based on additional evidence, but that's what I think. Yeah, clouds don't move, fake video. I'm waiting for that. for them to say something like that, right? Because you can see the same kind of clouds in the videos you see in the MH370 videos, although it's not whammy footage. Part of the reason why the clouds don't look like they move in the whammy footage, to the debunkers' credit, is because whammy footage is a series of photos. So they have to do some parallax correction to make it look like a uniform perspective. And that's why technically the whammy is computer generated, technically. But what we saw was not computer generated. That was a standard drone video. Okay, Kuman, Engetism, whatever. Just catching the end, but wanted to show some love. Thank you very much for that donation. Have a good weekend. Glad to see Veritasium cross. You guys, Veritasium is my favorite physics YouTuber. He's great. Really good stuff. And I don't know. I feel like he might know more than he kind of pretends to not know. But we'll see. Because he asks some questions and you're like, you're doing a video on Aronoff Bohm effect and how weird it is, but you don't really come to any conclusions at the end. You're just like, here are the theories. All main characters lock in. Third Eye Tribe, thank you very much. Miss Tammy, thanks. You're doing great things. Thank you, Miss Tammy. I appreciate you. Zapparoo, fantastic. Ashton, Lulu treats for post-traumatic tub disorder. Post-traumatic tub disorder. Did you like Miss Omar's fake space juice stunt? Guys, here's the thing I would say on that. It's not just the right wing or the left wing that does the fake news stuff. Like going and claiming that Ilhan Omar like faked the whole thing. Not the best move, because if it's not true, she's going to use it against you. She's going to claim you said that this was all fake, blah, blah, blah. Now, she got sprayed with what, salad dressing? So obviously it was too dramatic. That's what you should press Omar on. And I say this as like one of the top Ilhan Omar haters. But you're doing the thing that I said not to do about Candace Owens. Don't give them ammunition. Don't lie about the situation. Don't say that she's the one who orchestrated a fake salad spraying event for attention, because she's going to use that as ammo against you. The same way when Candace Owens released the text messages, and I thought about it, I was like, wait, I bet those text messages are real. And everybody else was going, those text messages are fake, they're fake, they're fake. And I said, no, they're probably real, guys. She's not going to release text messages that are fake, right? And then she came out and said, they decided to say the text messages are fake and they're real, and this proves that I'm right, right? This is the exact same bullshit. And you guys are falling for the trap. Do not fall for the trap, chat. That's also to all the right-wingers out there, guys. You're getting played. Okay. Tiny Lens Tales YouTube. Thank you very much. Towards a good Steigl lager for your pups. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Probably butchering that. Bert. Whoa. Huge dono at the end. Keep up the good work. Long-time supporter. Bert, you're the bomb, brother. Thank you very much, man. And thank you, everybody else in the Rumble chat. That's it for tonight, guys. Have a good night. We'll be back on Monday talking about 5D electromagnetic theory, Maxwell's equations from first principles. Get excited, nerds. Take it easy, MH37X. Later. MH370X. Pardon. Bye.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Spears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As fierce sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared